I'm Gregory Fedora, and this is the Fedora Files. Triathlons have always seemed very intimidating to me. I know people who've done them, I've watched them, I've been amazed by them. I ride bikes, I swim, and I run, but I've never done them consecutively in a race. But I met one man who not only trained to do one, he succeeded and won in his age and weight class and is now headed to nationals. Join me now as we sit with Orlando Barros and discuss training for a triathlon. Hey, I have Orlando with me. Now, Orlando, I have to just say that I've ran, I used to run cross country, and I've biked, and I swim, and I surf, and I've done all these things, but I've never consecutively done them in any kind of race form.
I hate them all.
Yeah, you did them all.
But I hate them all equally.
You hate them all.
Yeah.
But you did it.
Correct.
Now, first I want to know, like, when did you decide that you wanted to try a triathlon?
How much time do you have?
We have plenty.
No, so what happened was, if you go back from the dawn of time, man, no, just kidding. No, if you go back to maybe about 15 years ago, I just thought, when I first started college, I did all sports in high school. So I played soccer, I swam, I was on the track team, and then the last year I was doing soccer and football at the same time because I was a kicker. So I was always doing sports. It's what allowed me to sort of click in because, as you know, I'm an immigrant and I came from Colombia. And so that, I'm out of college. I don't know what I'm doing really. I'm the oldest in my family. And I thought, it'd be really cool to do something that's a little crazy, like a triathlon or something. That stuck in my mind. I moved to Florida for a while. In Florida, swimming, surfing, being at the beach is really big, and running. Now, this gives me cycles where I lived. And I was like, man, this was like the perfect spot to train. Just go to the beach, but I never did it. Fast forward to when I met my wife, Patty, who's not my wife. She tells me that her sister went to a couple of world championships for amateur triathlon. And I was like, oh, dang, like, she's legit. And she was like, yeah, she's an athlete. We get married. I meet my sister-in-law. We're, talking about sports a lot. She always tells me that there's not a sport that I don't know anything about, which is an interesting comment because I don't know much about many sports. But so that sort of gets on hold in the back of my head. It's like, I still want to do it, but I don't know if I should or if I could. So, since high school, I probably gained something like 40 pounds or something. So I was like, now that I'm older and I have a wife and kids, I'm like, I don't know that I should do it. The pandemic hits. And then what happens is, so I work in fundraising and development for a Catholic not-for-profit. So what happens is, hey, we don't know what we're going to do. We went on the offensive during the pandemic to say, this is going to be a difficult time. It's going to be really difficult for those we serve. And as we're starting to raise more and more funds than we ever had before, I had this idea. I follow cycling, like professional cycling, like Tour de France, like the Giro d'Italia, La Vuelta in Spain. So I've always followed cycling. And I was like, wouldn't it be crazy, but it's really cool to bike from Frederick to New York City and back. And if you do that and back, it's about 500 miles. Wow. So I was like, if I do it in a week, it'll be 100 miles a day. Oh, we can do it. And we're getting all high, all really jacked up. I bought a new bike, like a road bike, like a beginner's road bike. It's nothing fancy. And I started training for this. 2.5 months into my training, I crash. Oh, wow. And I break my shoulder. We raised 40 grand. That's out of the question now. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to make this happen now? So I'm out of shape now. By the time I get better, it's like late fall, early winter. We have another kid. I'm like, this is never going to happen. I raise funds for no reason. We lose a staff member. So we lose one less fundraiser. So we bring our admin person to do a lot of fundraising. Now we have no admin person. So now it's like we're super busy at work. We're trying to figure something out, and we have 40 grand that we have to do something for.
Hmm.
So I go to my supervisor and I was like, hey, so I can't do this. I can't just bike from here to New York. I don't have the time to be able to waste another week
Hmm.
outside of, vacation and the things that I have to do as a dad. And he's like, what do you want to do? We have to do something. So I came back the next day. I was like, I got it. He was like, what? Let's do a couple of triathlons. And he was like, what? I was like, hear me out. I was like, hear me out. Um, it doesn't take a week.
Hmm.
I can train off hours because I don't have to be on the bike for like 2 or 3 hours. I can, and we can do it on the weekends, like the events. And it was like, heck, let's do it. I start training for one. Get COVID, go on vacation. Wife gets COVID. Our baby gets COVID. So now it's like a month without training. Never advertised it, thank God. I never really advertised it. I just told the people around me. 2 weeks before the triathlon, I start training again. But this is 2 weeks before.
Hmm.
So what I did was I was like, I'm just gonna swim until I can't swim anymore.
Hmm.
So I swam, I don't know, like something like 1,200 yards without stopping. Uh, and I was like, I think I can do it. I think I can do it. If I can just get the swim part, I can do it. I train on that. I get
Hmm.
on my bike and I ran a little bit, but I didn't put much in my running. Because I had been biking, I was pretty confident on that. The issue was the swimming.
Yeah.
Anyhow, get to the event, or so a couple of days before the event, let me back up a little bit. We get an athlete's guide. This is where the I gained 40 pounds come into play.
Hmm.
So for you listening, and if you're a dude that's trying to do something crazy, sometimes being fat helps. Because what happens is I'm reading the athlete's guide, which I never do. Nobody reads the owner's manual.
Yeah.
But I'm like so scared that I'm gonna not finish.
Yeah.
I don't care. I wasn't scared about dying or anything, but I was like, I don't think I'm gonna finish.
Hmm.
So I'm reading the athlete's guide, and then there's a spot that says you can also compete in what we call the Clydesdale or the Athena division. And I was like,
Okay.
what the heck is this? The Clydesdale division is for those of us who have a weight minimum of 220 pounds. And I was like,
You're in.
this is it. This is it. So what I did was then I was like, then my competitive nature got into place. I was like, oh shoot. So I went and I looked at that specific triathlon that happened to be, I found out later, was the state championship in Maryland that anybody can enter.
Oh, nice.
So I went and I looked up the times of last year's in that category.
Hmm.
And the guy that did it in something like 2.5 hours. And I was like, I can beat that. Like if that guy goes, I think I can beat it. Because I started thinking, I was like, if I do the swimming in about 3 minutes per 100 yards, I think I can finish around 25 minutes.
Hmm.
Did a little bit better. I was like, the bike I can probably do in an hour, but I wasn't counting that coming off the swim
Hmm.
into the bike, you're already tired.
Yeah.
Because on the training, you do what it's called a brick workout, which is bike run,
Hmm.
and then, or run off the bike. So you train for that. You're not training to get out of the water right into the bike. So, so I didn't count on that. So the bike took me a little bit longer. It was like an hour and 6 minutes. Um, and then I transitioned again, and then I went on my run, and I was dead by the time the run got. I was just dead. And that day, it was so hot and it was so humid. Um, People were cramping up all over the place. Thankfully, I didn't, because I was going so slow on my run. And so yeah, so I see it. I was like, hey, I think I can beat the numbers. I get up there and I was like, hey, I'm supposed to weigh in because I want to do the Clydesdale division. Barely slept the night before. I was like, it was almost like, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but it's like almost going to like a new job interview, or
Hmm.
I'm about to get a promotion, but I'm not a shoe in. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like that. So I was like, I'm not sleeping well. I wake up super early. I leave my house like at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's about 40 minutes from here. And I get there I'm one of the first athletes to get there. So I get there. I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to weigh in. Why? And I was like, I'm competing in Clydesdale. They called the race supervisor. I was like, hey, where are we weighing the Clydesdales? Because it's supposed to be done discreetly.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to know.
Yeah, they don't want to embarrass you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I don't care. I'm like, you weigh me all you want. I was like,
Yeah.
I kind of, because I'm only like 5'8", 5'9". I'm not really that tall. So I want to make sure that they know that I'm a heavyweight.
Hmm.
So they call the race supervisor, and he's like, we're not weighing Clydesdales or Athenas. We're gonna trust them. And I was like, crap. What if somebody shows up that is under it and is trying to run in the division, and they're just gonna trust them? I was like, whatever. We get to the swimming part. I end up doing the swimming in about 23 minutes, like 23 and some change. I was like, oh, I didn't know after I was a little better. I transition into the bike. I get on the bike. The bike was a killer. Get off, and I'm like, the running loop is 2 laps.
Hmm.
I didn't know it was 2 laps. I stopped reading the athlete's guide when it said Clydesdale, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna win this thing. And so I do the first lap. This guy in like his 60s, super fit. I know it was in his 60s because they write your age on your leg. So guy gets there and he passes me. I was like, son of a biscuit, this guy's gonna pass me. And as he passes me, it's a curve into the straightaway to the finish line. And I was like, you are not beating me, bro. I was like, I don't care how old you are. If you're 80, you're not gonna embarrass me. And I'm sprinting to the line. I'm getting to the thing, and it says, lappers this way, finishers this one. I was like, what do you mean lappers? And I'm screaming as I'm sprinting to the volunteer that's out there. He was like, it's 2 laps. And I was like, you have to be joking. So I finished the lap, and I'm like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm dead. And I'm just like going like this. I'm like,
gassing out.
barely trotting, really. 2 more old people passed me. A couple of women in her 40s passed me. And I was like, I don't care at this point. Now I'm like focusing on finishing. I finished, and then you can go to a kiosk where you see I didn't know what it was. It was like, oh, you can see your time and your position. I was like, oh, well,
nice.
I guess let's take a look at it. I entered my bib number, first place. And I was like, what? So it turns out, long story short, after wanting to do a triathlon, I'm the 2022 Maryland Clydesdale Division state champion under 39.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Look at you.
Thank you. But yeah, so it all started, really the seriousness about it started to be able to raise some funds, started to do something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
To be able, we can't, we figured, we went under the attack, we tried everything that we could, trying to get new major donors, meeting new people, because we're not traveling because of COVID. We just started to travel, and I was like, what can we do that's crazy? And sort of got the idea of rolling that way. It's not the easiest of things. It's also, I realize it's not the hardest of things.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I did a sprint. It's a shorter version, or there's a super sprint, which is like super short, which is the shortest version of a triathlon, where you're normally swimming half a mile and you're running 5K, and the bike can be anywhere from 11 to 12 miles all the way to like maybe 18 miles.
Okay.
So it's not like it's a lot, but put together back to back to back.
It wears you down.
Right? It wears you down.
Well,
particularly if you are a heavyset man like me.
Well, I mean, swimming itself, that is like that is hard to do. Like when you really are trying to race someone,
right,
or do it
right
for any length. Like, I mean,
even if it's 50 yards, like, 2 lengths of a pool.
Yeah, you
want to go all out, especially particularly, you're right, like you're racing somebody. So I knew that was going to be like my hardest thing. So I saw, so you're supposed to mark yourself as a Clydesdale. So they put a C on your leg. And I saw nobody with that. So I thought I was the only one. But I was like, no way I'm the only one. I see some of my larger fellows out there. I was like, they gotta be racing Clydesdale. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because it was like, guys that were heavyset like me. When you're like in a field of maybe, 100 people, that was the field for the sprint. Overall, there was a duathlon going on, there was an aqua bike going on, there was also an Olympic triathlon, or an international triathlon, which for this particular was pretty much twice as long, everything that we did. So when you're in the water, in a lake like this, with like a couple hundred other people, it's not like you're looking around to see the people that you're racing against where they are. Like at some point, you don't know if you're in first place or in last place.
Yeah.
Especially when you see people in other divisions, which happened to me, lap you.
Yeah.
So like you saw the Olympic guys finishing their first lap before I finished my lap, and I was like, what the French toast? You know what I mean? So so you sort of, because you're losing track of where you are in the race, swimming becomes that much harder because you're like, man, am I pacing myself, or do I want to go really hard while you're trying to, like, if most lakes, I don't know, the like the Atlantic Ocean is a little bit different because we're in the East Coast, but most lakes are like muddy water. Like you can't really see 5 feet ahead of you.
Yeah.
You can feel people as you're catching up to them, or you can feel people who are catching up to you. So,
and you hope it's people.
You hope it's people, correct?
Not something else in the water.
And then every 5 to 6 breaths, you're like looking up to see, where's the buoy? Am I lost? Where are the other people? So, I think it's also you adding to the exhaustion of the swimming, the mentally draining part. Because when you're biking and running, you're aware of your surroundings. But I think maybe that's why swimming goes first, because I think it's not only is it more exhausting, it's just, I think, mentally draining too, to do the whole thing.
So now that you've done it, and you're the fastest man in Maryland,
correct,
in your age group and
weight division,
are you going to do more? Are you going to do it again?
Here's the interesting thing that I didn't know about. So I find out that these are the state championships.
Yeah.
Turns out that I'm qualified for nationals.
Right. So are you?
Next year. Everybody that I talk to, including my wife, is saying, do it. Yes. Just for the heck of it. Do it.
You got to represent Maryland,
just to say, I went to nationals or something along those lines.
I mean, you've won Maryland. You're here in Frederick County. You're a Frederick guy.
That's true.
And you got to represent Frederick in national. I say you have to. You won. You got to go on.
So here's what I'm gonna do.
All right.
This is already the plan. Before we think about nationals. First of all, this was supposed to be done for fundraising.
Yeah.
And we didn't advertise it.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was gonna die. And then I was like, man, we lost an opportunity, because what if I had? And it was just a surprise, like first place or whatever.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is, I started training this week for the next one, which is in 6 weeks. So I want to do a triathlon on the Chesapeake Bay, like 20 minutes past Annapolis on the bay.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with Frederick County, for your listeners, you're looking at about an hour and a half almost worth of driving from here. So that one is a different triathlon because the entire course is flat. So, and then the swimming is done in a shallow area of the bay. So it's like you go there and back, you transition, and you go super fast on the bike.
Okay.
So it is a USA Triathlon sponsored event. So I found out that if I didn't qualify for nationals then, I could qualify for nationals here, but I'm already qualified. But I want to do it for 2 reasons. Number one, I want to make sure that we give our donors and supporters something back, and at the same time try to advertise to say, if you didn't support us last year, here's a chance to support us now.
Yeah.
Right. That's 2. That's the 2 right there. And then a third thing would be, I want to see if I'm actually that good, if I'm good in my weight division. So here's the issue that I'm encountering right now. Since I started retraining and did the triathlon, I'm losing weight. I can't lose weight.
Yeah.
Because I need to maintain, 220 plus.
Yeah.
I need to be, and I'm like, man, so I saw that I've lost, like, just in the past couple of weeks, or since I started training, I lost like 3 pounds or 4 pounds, and I was like, any other time I'd be like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is awesome. But now I'm like stuffing my face every meal. Because I know that I'm going to be training.
Yeah.
And that way is probably going to be losing. So as long as I don't go under 220, which I'm a few pounds off right now, I don't, I'll be fine. So I'm shooting for, if I keep losing weight, I'm shooting for 221.
Lots of carbs.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Carbs and protein, and a lot of chips.
So I've got, like, now there could be people out there,
right,
that could look like me, look like you, look like that have been into it. Like, I've never done a triathlon. I've always been fascinated by it, and in my head thought about kind of like what you did, like, oh, I think I want to try it. I think I want to try it, but then just
Never get
keep on
around
it.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give that person to get them to go for it?
To get them to go for it. That's a really good question.
Like, I know for you it was the
motivation
fundraise,
for raise funds
because
correct.
you had the money and you wanted to be a man of your word. But how would you get someone to say just do it?
That's a really, really, really good question. I would say this. You only live one life, right? And if there's anything, where there's a triathlon or a marathon, some people are crazy like that. I would never do that. Or, you know, 100-mile race, those races that they do, or like racing in the desert or whatever. If there's ever been an inclination that you want to do something like that, you know, you only have one life. I would say do it. It doesn't matter how old you do it or what you look like, because I found it out at this triathlon. We had people as old as people in their 80s and as young as, you know, 16, you know, competing. As a matter of fact, the guy that won the men's open was a 16-year-old kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did it like an hour and 15 minutes.
Dang.
The kid was fast.
Nice.
So, you know, and at the end of the day, you're competing against yourself and people who look similar to you and within the same age group, you know, if you could, within the same weight division, you know, that are probably doing it just for fun as you are. I would say this. People say that it's addictive. For me, triathlon, working out is not really addictive. It's not like I enjoy it. I really don't. What has become interesting for me to watch is that, and it just so happened because I won, I think, is that, you know, there's a competitive side of you that you want to say, I want to do it again because I want to be better than the people in my age group or whatever. There's, you know, for some people is that I've seen some people that, you know, they want to do it for their health. And I've seen some people like my sister-in-law where this is just like a lifestyle where, you know, you work, you do triathlons, you know, you work and you do triathlons. So I would just say, yeah, you have one life. And if you have a supporting group of people around you, like I was grateful that my wife was like, yeah, do it. I was grateful that my boss was like, yeah, do it. I was grateful that everybody that I told that I was going to do it, nobody ever said, don't do it. They were just like, that's crazy. Some people said that, which I think it is. But do it, you know. Quick disclaimer, I don't think I'm ever going to do an Ironman.
Yeah.
That's definitely crazy.
You're not ready for that yet.
I don't think I'll ever be. But I think I got to focus on my sprint. You know what? I'm not ready. This is the part of me that comes and that's a little shrewd. Because if I do an Ironman, I know for a fact I'm going to lose like 20 pounds just in the training. And I already been disqualified for my weight division because of my height.
And then you wouldn't feel like you'd win that division.
Correct. You know, because you're also racing. You have to think about it. You're racing against people who are 6'5", 6'6", whose regular weight is probably over 220 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they are much leaner than I would be.
Yeah.
So that's sort of who you're racing against. So they look more like triathletes than I do. Except at this one, nobody was faster.
Yeah, there you go. You're the winner. See, and that's amazing to me. I think that's super cool that this was your first one, and then you trained like basically the week before.
Well, I was training. So
you were training, but then
I really lost everything in that month.
And then
the week before.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, that's awesome that you did. And like I said, I want you to come back and tell us how your next triathlon went, and then definitely when you go to nationals, because you are
right.
And I'm going to sponsor you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. In some form.
It's going to be the Fedora Files right on my suit.
Yeah, right there. I'm gonna, whatever you wear, I have my face on your body.
Perfect.
Or tattoo it. Perfect. Whatever.
Just like a sleeve on the shirt.
Yeah, a sleeve. Yeah.
With the Fedora Files logo on the face.
Exactly. I'm in to do that.
So there is, there's a one on the 24th, and then I'm doing one on December 3rd in Florida.
Oh, see, I was about to say December 3rd. Wow, the polar bear, but Florida, that's a
I'm doing it in Florida for two main reasons. What really got the thing started was that last year, there was this thing called Challenge Daytona. And it's this, during the pandemic, this professional triathletes, the ones that are professional, came up with a union called the Professional Triathlon Organization. Very similar to what you find in football, baseball,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And they've put together like a season.
Okay.
And the union makes sure that everybody that's a professional gets paid, and it's televised.
Hmm.
So I stumbled upon this through my social media feed, and I watched it. And the first one that I watched was women. It was a women's professional race. With I'm a girl dad, for those of you that know. With two of the baby wasn't born yet, so it's all three girls at home. So with the two girls, and my oldest was like looking at this woman compete, and it was really cool because she was like, "Oh, that's so cool," and she started hearing the names, and she was like, "Who's winning?" And this woman named Paula Finley from Canada won the thing, and I was like, it was the first thing in my head, the first inclination that I said, because this happened in December of last year. I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to go and do that race. It's at the International Speedway in Daytona where they do the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
So anyhow, found out that there is a sprint amateur race the day before the professional, sponsored by the PTO and all this stuff. It won't be televised, of course. But I was like, I want to do it. So I signed up. I told a couple of our donors out in Florida, hey, I'm going to be in town. Come see me or support us. They were all about it. So I'm actually working while I'm down there and also doing the triathlon. So that's going to be December 3rd.
Nice.
And that's going to be it. And then I can come back after that and say, I think I'm ready for nationals. And I think, no, I got my behind kicked.
Yeah.
And maybe I won't go.
Yeah.
But if it's my wife just really wants to go to say that we did something.
Yeah.
Like, that was something that's cool.
Well, I want you to do it too, because I want to hear about it.
So, but yeah, I'll come back after the season is over.
Yeah, and tell us how you did.
And then how we're going to face nationals will be sometime in the summer of next year.
So I have another question for you. Are you going to, I know you're on social media, but I don't want to give that out because that's right. Are you going to start like an Instagram or social media account strictly for your training of triathlon? It's Orlando, the Clydesdale.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because as old millennials that went through a pandemic, I started a TikTok account.
Okay.
And on TikTok, I really didn't have any sort of topic. I was just posting whatever. So this last week, I started posting more about triathlon, and I just posted yesterday's workout on my TikTok.
Right. So do you want to tell people your TikTok?
Yeah, so my TikTok is O Barros. So it's my last name, OBARROS 04. OB as in Bravo, OBARROS 04.
Right. And I'll put a link to it on there.
Yeah, that's my TikTok handle. And I'm really not doing it for the views, but I am doing it because I want to keep myself accountable and say, and if somebody gets any use out of it, if there's, like you're saying, a guy in their 30s or their late 30s or early 40s that says, maybe I want to do something like this, they can look and see, oh, so this is the workout that you would do, or this is something similar. So I'm filming. I got a little GoPro that you can put in the water or near the water, or that you can put on your chest while you're running. And what I'm doing is I'm just really just going through what the workout is. So, okay, so like if it's 1,600 yards, how do you break up the 1,600 yards for your workout? If it is, if today is 12 miles on the bike, where are you going on this 12 miles?
Yeah.
So on and so forth. That's right. That's sort of what I'm trying to do. I just started doing that this week. So we'll go from there.
Great. Well, I hope people check you out. I hope you keep doing this. And I want you to go to nationals.
You heard it here first, folks.
I want, and if you go to nationals, I will make a band.
Sponsor. They're gonna even if it's $20, I'll take it.
Yeah, and I will get a little band or a patch for you to wear because.
You know what you could do?
Yeah, what?
I think I can do. If you do that, that's gonna give me the motivation to say, at the very least, I'm gonna place at nationals. Nice. And that's really bold to say.
I'm gonna do it.
That's really bold to say.
No, I'm gonna design
because if
something.
I place, people will see. I mean, like newspapers will pick up, because I found nationals in newspapers. We'll pick up the Fedora files on my sleeve.
All right. Well, see, you know me, and I'm crazy enough that I will design something for you to wear, and I will do it. I'll probably go home right now and design something.
This is going to happen.
And say, this is what I'm going to give you.
And this will be on the podium at nationals.
That's what I want. All right. Well, I know you got your girl dad, and you got a wife waiting for you at home, so I don't want to keep you. And it's getting darker, and we'll probably get kicked out of this park soon.
pretty
So-
fun. I thought it was already closed when
Yeah.
I walked
Yeah.
when I
so
drove in.
I think it's closed. It closes at sunset and the sun is setting. So, but I thank you for coming on. This
It
has
was
been
an
awesome.
honor to be here in the Fedora Files.
Well, it's been an honor to have
This
you.
is-
This has been
This is
it's
awesome. I
fascinating.
was so excited when I was asked, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, absolutely, let's do it." You know, it's funny. I told my wife.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, I've been invited to the Fedora Files." My wife is more excited than I am, actually.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, about everything.
I'm more excited than your wife is.
Oh,
You're here.
dang!
Yeah. Because like when
That
I
is
saw
some
when I saw
excitement.
your story, like because I mean I watch your stuff and all of a sudden you talked about you posted about your doing the triathlon and then you post a picture with your medal and your first place.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yes.
wait, what? I just
That
heard
happened.
like the thing is, I just heard you were doing the triathlon, and then
A couple days ago.
yeah. Well, because you were kind of quiet about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm doing this triathlon. And we're like, all right, good job. Good luck. And then you came in I was like, that is unbelievable. I was like, that's when I was like, I got to have him
That
on
was
because
really
this
cool.
is crazy.
You were just as surprised as I was.
Yeah. That was awesome. But again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
And
having
you
me.
definitely have to come back because you're my favorite triathlete.
Awesome.
And
I'm
you're the
starting
only
my own club.
triathlete I know.
Well, I'm starting a club.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So you'll be.
I'll be
my
yeah.
first member.
I'm in. I'm in. And those of you who are watching, listening, or whatever you're doing, thank you for checking it out. Check out his TikTok, and when you go on there, just say "Go to Nationals." You know, just keep telling him
It's
that.
peer pressure. Me.
Yeah, definitely. He will do it for peer pressure. But and as always, remember to stay safe and keep searching.
Check out FedoraCRT.com today.